Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Busy weekend this weekend. I went 10-5. Blake went 9-6, so he did pretty well. Let's go over it. In the American League, we had Cleveland taking 2 of 3 from the Angels. Then Seattle took 2 of 3 from Houston. They actually came back.
Yep.
They lost the lead, and then Cal Raleigh ultimately hitting a go-ahead homer off Josh Hader. So those struggles continue. Minnesota pushed their win streak to 12, but ended up losing the last game, but do take the series against Boston. The Yankees ended up sweeping Detroit. The game was cut short today due to weather. They only got through 8 innings. And then Texas comes back in the ninth to beat KC in this series. Jonah Heim home run, and they win in extras. Blake, go ahead and go over the National League.
In the National League, the Cubs took 2 of 3 from Milwaukee. Pittsburgh took 2 of 3 from the Colorado Rockies. Philadelphia has taken 3 games from the San Francisco Giants, but the fourth game is going to be played tomorrow, so they will end up taking that series at least. The Padres took 2 of 3 from Arizona Diamondbacks, and a little bit of surprising here. The Dodgers ended up sweeping Atlanta. I thought Atlanta might have snuck out a game or two in that one. That was kind of surprising to me. But why don't you run through the interleague?
Yeah. Baltimore goes into Cincinnati and sweeps there. I thought that was going to be a little bit closer of a series. Baltimore did sweep. Toronto, man, it's starting to be an issue here. They're starting to fall behind. The offense looked really bad. But yeah, they were up what 6-1 today.
Yeah,
End up losing 11-8, I believe, and
yeah,
lose the series to the Washington Nationals. And then we expected the Mets to go into Tampa and
yeah,
play a good series. They did. Just ultimately they lost 3 games.
yeah,
Tampa won extras in one of those games. They sweep the Mets, and then the Washington or Chicago White Sox, I should say,
yeah,
uh, take 2 of 3 from St. Louis. They had a crazy game on Saturday.
yeah.
Bases loaded. Uh, in the
With 2 outs,
extras.
and they go into a rain delay.
3 hour rain delay. Come out of it, CB Buckner, ring him up on a ball and a half off the plate. Let's go home, boys. And then Oakland wins another series.
Yep,
They're playing really good baseball right now. Hats off to them. Nobody expected it. They take
yep,
2 of 3 from Miami. And Miami traded Luis Arias to
yep.
the Padres. We actually did a video on that, so go check that out if you guys haven't. But yeah, my record this week was 10-5. Blake's was 9-6. I do win the week. Overall, I am 86, 64, and 14. I'm 7 series back of Blake, who is 94, 57, and 12.
Yep.
Now let's get into this next week. And it's starting with the American League. We have Detroit heading into Cleveland. It's going to be Jack Flaherty versus Tristan McKenzie, Kenta Maeda versus Logan Allen, and Reese Olson versus Tanner Bybee. I'm going to go with Detroit on this one. They did
Yep.
just get swept by the Yankees, but they were close games. They had bases loaded multiple times in those series, just couldn't cash. I'm an Angels fan. If you haven't watched this channel before, they just played Cleveland. Maybe they just had an off weekend, but the Angels could have won all 3 games.
Yeah.
So with that said, I'm actually gonna go with Detroit. They've been playing pretty good baseball of late outside of the Yankees series. I think they'll get back on track against Cleveland, and they
I'll
know
take
what the stakes are.
I'll take Cleveland. I just like the pitching matchups in this one. You got McKenzie, you got Tanner Bybee. I trust those guys more than Flaherty, who's actually been not bad lately, and Kenta Maeda along with Olson. So I'll take Cleveland.
Fair enough. Then we have the Chicago White Sox heading into Tampa. They actually swept Tampa the last time they played in Chicago,
Yep.
which was a big surprise. But it's going to be determined versus to be determined. And then Mike Soroka versus Zach Eflin and Chris Flexen versus Aaron Savali. I'm going to go ahead and go with Tampa. I'm going to double down. They did get swept,
Yeah.
but I can completely, I could see them sweeping Chicago at
Yeah.
their place. So
Yeah. I'll go with
I think they'll at least take 2 of 3. Eflin, Savali in this
yeah.
series against Soroka and Flexen. I'm going to go with Tampa.
Yep, I'll just kind of mirror what exactly you just said there. I like the pitching better. And Tampa's offense should score more runs than the White Sox, who have won some games as of late. 2 of the last 3 series they've won. So they're playing better as of late, but that's not a good baseball team.
Next up, we have Seattle heading into Minnesota, 2 of the hottest teams in the American League right now. It's a 4 game set. It's going to be Luis Castillo versus Simon Woods Richardson, Emerson Hancock versus Bailey Ober, George Kirby versus Chris Paddock, and Logan Gilbert versus Pablo Lopez. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Seattle on this one. I did want to take Minnesota, but Seattle's pitching's just been too dominant. 18 straight games, their starting pitcher gives up two or less runs.
Yeah.
That's just an amazing streak. It did end today against the Astros, but they still won the game.
Yeah.
Seattle's hot right now. Minnesota won 12 in a row, but it was against the White Sox. It was against the Angels.
Yeah.
You know, two against Boston. It is what it is. I'm gonna go ahead and go with Seattle.
Yeah, I'll go Seattle too. I love this pitching staff. One of the best in the league. Seattle kind of usually starts slow. They're kind of picking it up lately. So we'll kind of see how far this pitching staff can take them. I mean, I feel like most of their success is going to be on the backs of that rotation and the bullpen. Their hitting has been better as of late, but yeah, I'll go Seattle here. I almost did go Minnesota too.
Next up, we have Houston going into New York to take on the Yankees. It'll be Justin Verlander versus Luis Hill, Spencer Arrighetti versus Carlos Rodon, and Ronel Blanco versus Marcus Stroman. It's going to be a good series, I would think.
Yep.
Obviously, the Yankees swept Houston in Houston to start the year on opening weekend. The Yankees did just sweep Detroit. I'm going to go ahead and go with the hotter team, but Houston, if they end up getting swept in this series, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, the West hasn't been great, but
No. I'll take
we've been saying this for a couple weeks though, and they're
yeah,
still hanging
that is
around.
true.
So we'll see
That
what
is
happens. But I'm
true.
gonna take the Yankees.
I'm gonna take the
But
Yankees too, but it would not surprise me with Blanco and Verlander going to the series. If Houston did win this series, that wouldn't really surprise me. Just because of those two guys going. Blanco's been unbelievable. Obviously had a no-hitter early on in the year, but I'll go the Yankees here. I feel like the Yankees offense is just better than Houston's at this point.
next up, we have Texas going into Oakland. It'll be a four-game set. It'll be Andrew Heaney versus Alex Wood, TBD versus Ross Stripling, Michael Lorenzen versus JP Sears, and to be determined versus to be determined. They're playing a weird series where
Yeah.
they have a planned doubleheader on Wednesday,
Yep.
but it is a four-game set. I am going to go with Texas. Obviously, reigning World Series champs.
Yep.
Oakland is what it is. They're trying to suck, but they're actually not sucking. It's kind of like Major League in real life. But I am going to go with Texas because this is a four-game set. Minimum, they have to win two games to get that split.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Texas, though.
That's a very good analogy there. Major League in real life. That's funny. I'll go Texas too. But yeah, like you said, hats off to Detroit. I think they've won 8 of their last 10, which is a lot better than what everybody expected for them. But yeah, the pitching is just going to be overwhelming, I feel like, in this one. But yeah, we'll see. Valdi did go on the IL, so that's a tough blow. And they got Bradford on the IL too. So pitching staff's a little bit banged up for Texas right now, but their offense should be able to carry them in this one.
Yep. Heading into the National League, we have the San Diego Padres heading into Chicago to take on the Cubs. It'll be Yu Darvish versus Justin Steele, who's coming off the IL. It was supposed to be Joe Musgrove, but
Yep.
that turns into a to be determined versus Shota Imanaga.
Yep.
And then Dylan Cease versus Hayden Wezeneski, sorry. And I'm going to go ahead and take Chicago in this series. San Diego's been playing better baseball.
Yep.
They just won 2 of 3 against Arizona. They just made that trade of Luis Arias. But the Cubs have been playing more consistent baseball.
Yep.
Imanaga's been unreal. Justin Steele is one of the best in the game. He's underrated. I'm going to take the Cubs pitching to beat the Padres pitching, and also they're in Wrigley, so I'm going to go with the Cubs.
I took the Padres in this one with Joe Musgrove. Thought about changing, but I'm going to stick with San Diego here. It is pretty good pitching matchups, right? Obviously, sucks not having Joe Musgrove. Yet another pitcher with elbow inflammation just added to the list. It's been devastating start to the season for pitchers. A lot of Tommy Johns. It's unfortunate to see a guy like Musgrove go down, but I'll take the Padres here. We'll see if they can continue their hot stretch on the weekend.
Next up, we have 2 teams coming off series losses, but it should be a good series. It's going to be Arizona heading into Cincinnati to take on the Reds. It'll be Zach Gallen versus Frankie Montas, Jordan Montgomery versus Graham Ashcraft, and Slade Sassoni versus Hunter Green. I'm going to go ahead and take the Reds on this one. I think this is a close matchup. I do like Arizona's offense a bit more with Cincinnati being a little banged up,
Yeah.
but if Ellie De La Cruz does his thing, Spencer Steer does his thing, I think Cincinnati will take 2 of 3. I just think Cincinnati's played a little bit better of baseball than Arizona to start the season.
Yeah, I'm gonna take Arizona. I like Arizona's offense, but man, they got to get going, right? Corbin Carroll, we're waiting for this guy to get going. I feel like we say it every week about Corbin Carroll. But Arizona's got a deeper lineup, I would say. Obviously, you got the ace, Zach Gallen going game one. I'll take Arizona in this one. And you got Montgomery in game two. So,
Next up, we have the Mets heading into St. Louis to take on the Cardinals. Both these teams are coming off brutal series.
yeah.
Um, the Mets being swept by Tampa, who isn't really a offensive juggernaut by any means, and then St. Louis losing 2 of 3 to the White Sox, whether there was the rain delay or not. I mean, they
Yeah.
lost 2 of 3 to the White Sox. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be Sean Manaea versus Kyle Gibson, Jose Butto versus Miles Mikolas, and Jose Quintana versus Sonny Gray. I'm going to go ahead and take the Cardinals on this one, mainly because Sonny Gray is pitching in it. I think they could probably scrap another win somewhere in there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go ahead and take the Cardinals, but realistically, both these teams are blah to me.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a tough pick, but I'm going to go with Sonny Gray.
Yeah, this was a coin flip for me. I really didn't know who to pick in this one because they're just, like you said, kind of two boring teams to watch lately, to be honest. I'll take the Mets in this one, I guess. But yeah, this series could definitely go either way.
Next up, we have the San Francisco Giants heading into Colorado to take on the Rockies. It'll be Kyle Harrison versus Dakota Hudson, Jordan Hicks versus Peter Lambert, and Keaton Wynn versus Cal Quantrill. The Giants, they're down 3-0 against the Phillies, who are one of the hottest teams in the league right now, in Philly.
Yeah.
By the time we get to Tuesday, maybe the Giants find a way to win tomorrow. I'm not sure. I think Zach Wheeler goes. They might be coming off of a 4-game sweep.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Giants, mainly because of how bad the Rockies pitching is, and them as a whole as a team isn't very
And it's
good.
in Coors too.
It's in Coors. Jordan Hicks has looked really good. I don't really think I have to talk myself into San Francisco over the Rockies, but those are some of the reasons why I'm going to go with the Giants.
I'll go with the Giants too. Not really much more to add. The Giants are the better baseball team in this matchup for sure.
Yep. Next up, we have Miami heading into LA to take on the Dodgers. It'll be Rodri Munoz versus Walker Buehler, who I am very excited to watch.
Yep.
Even as an Angels fan, I'm glad that he's back.
Yep.
Edward Cabrera versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto, and Ryan Weathers versus Gavin Stone. I mean, they just swept Atlanta. I mean, and they were
Yep.
obviously the clear favorite to go to the World Series this year.
Yep.
And they're playing the worst team in the league. So I'm
Yep.
going with the Dodgers.
Not much more to add. I'll just mirror kind of what you said about Walker Buehler. I'm happy he's back on the mound. It's been a couple frustrating years for him injury wise. So he's one of the best pitchers in the game when he's on, and it's going to be awesome to see him back on the mound.
Absolutely. Heading into the Interleague, we have the Angels going into Pittsburgh to take on the Pirates. It's going to be Tyler Anderson versus Mitch Keller, Patrick Sandoval versus Quinn Priester, and Jose Soriano versus Martin Perez. I want to take my Halos, but fun fact for those of you that have made it this far in this video, they have won one series this season. It was against Miami. They swept them. And so this season they are 1-9-1. So they split a series in there. They haven't, if I've probably taken the Angels half the time and they haven't won for me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. They haven't been playing very good baseball though. So I think it's just, I'm going to go with Pittsburgh. And I hope the Halos prove me wrong.
I'm going to take the Angels in this one. Like, I like Tyler Anderson and Patrick Sandoval and even Jose Soriano to get some wins. I think like the pitching matchup wise, they should be able to scrap 2 or 3. Offense has struggled at times here. So we'll see. But like I think that's a favorable matchup pitching wise for the Halos.
Next, we have Toronto heading into Philly. It's going to be a 2-game set. We have actually 3 2-game sets.
It's going to be a 2-game sweep.
It's going to be Jose Barrios versus Christopher Sanchez and Chris Bassett versus Aaron Nola. I'm going to go with Philly. Obviously, these are kind of tricky as far as our predictions go, because if they take that 1-1, we get the split, we get the tie.
Yeah.
So it's not too fun to do these two gamers, especially having 3 in a week.
Yeah.
But I am going to go with Philly. Realistically, we're picking the team who we think is going to win 1 game and hope they win 2. And Philly's been, like I said, one of the hottest teams in baseball. So
Yeah,
who are
there's
you taking, Blake?
I'm gonna take the Phillies. There's an interesting article by Ken Rosenthal in The Athletic. Basically said like a reckoning is coming for the Jays, whether that's Bichette or Vlad or Kevin Gosman getting traded. Yeah, the Jays it's a ticking time bomb right now. The way they're playing, there could be some big changes. Everyone says fire the manager, but this would be the third manager in 2.5 years now. Yeah, Charlie Montoya, now John Schneider. At some point, you got to look at the team and how it's constructed, and that's down to Ross Atkins and Mark Shapiro. So yeah, there could be definitely big changes coming for the Jays if they keep losing.
Next up, we have Baltimore heading into Washington. Quick little drive right there.
Yeah,
It's going to be Corbin Burns versus Trevor Williams and Kyle Bradish versus Mitchell Parker. Two-gamer. I'm going to go with Baltimore. They're one of the best teams in the American League, as we all know. But Corbin Burns and Kyle Bradish on the mound
yeah,
should turn into at least one win. And I mean, realistically, they're much better than Washington. It should be
yeah.
2 wins. So
I'll
I'm
take
going to go with Baltimore.
I'll take Baltimore too. Nice to see Bradish back. This is gonna be a second start of the season, so that's a big boost for that rotation. I'll take Baltimore as well.
Next up, we have Milwaukee heading into KC. It's going to be Bryce Wilson versus Cole Reagans, Colin Ray versus Seth Lugo, and Joe Ross versus Brady Singer. I took Milwaukee to beat the Cubs this past weekend. I've gotten Milwaukee series wrong a lot, but I was on a little streak with them. I think I picked them 3 straight series and they won 3 straight. So my
Yeah,
luck finally ran out. I am going to go ahead and take KC in this one. Seth Lugo's been a dog to start the season. Cole Reagans has been up and down, but he's still had really good stuff. Kansas City just lost a bad game against Texas today, but they did play good in the series,
yeah.
and to me, they're playing better baseball. But I'm gonna go ahead and go with Kansas City.
I'm gonna go with Kansas City too. Obviously, you got your ace and Brady Singer, who's been really good to start this season. Going on this, Lugo, I think he's 5-1. Yeah, he's been really good. I'll take Kansas City.
Sweet. And rounding out the slate here, we have Boston heading into Atlanta to take on the Braves. It'll be Cutter Crawford versus Reynaldo Lopez, and to be determined versus Chris Sale against his former team. That's a fun one.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Atlanta. Um, Obviously they just got swept by the Dodgers. Before that, we scrapped this past weekend. They were one of the hottest teams in baseball.
Yep.
You know that they're itching for a win after losing 3 in a row.
Yep.
I'm gonna go ahead and go with Atlanta. I'm pretty sure they might take 2 here.
Yep.
So I'm gonna go with the Braves.
I think that they're gonna sweep the Red Sox too. I'll go Atlanta. Yeah, that Chris Sale matchup against his former team, he's gonna be pumped up to prove that he's still top pitcher in the league. So yeah, I'll take Atlanta.
Alrighty, that's gonna do it for this one. In review, I have Detroit, Tampa, Seattle, New York, Texas, Chicago, Cincinnati, St. Louis, San Francisco, LA, Pittsburgh, Philly, Baltimore, KC, and Atlanta. Blake has Cleveland, Tampa, Seattle, New York, Texas, San Diego, Arizona, New York, San Francisco, LA, LA Angels, Philly, Baltimore, KC, and Atlanta. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. As always, we appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.